Hi, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad we could talk to you today on behalf of Feminine Roar.
Totally. I'm excited.
I'm so excited to hear what you have to say about your new album coming out. Congratulations. That's so exciting. Today was release day. How excited are you for this?
I'm so excited. I've been waiting to put this record out for a hot minute now. I recorded it in 2019, I think. So it's been about 2 years in the making, and it's just so nice to get it out and to see people are responding well to it. So I'm in a very, very good mood today.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Congratulations and hearing that it's your first debut album. And before we get kind of deeper into it, I saw that it was a reflection that on your 5 month journey across country on tour. And so, what at that point, when you were on that 5 month journey, was there an experience or was there an interaction that you knew from that point on that you wanted to create an album like this?
Um, you know, it wasn't a single experience or anything like that, just because um the tour itself was long. It was 5 months, and I wrote a lot of different songs. And I think that it was just a natural sort of development of things that I wanted to then compile that experience. There's a couple of songs on the record that made it from before that tour, like maybe one or two or three max, but all of the other ones were written on the tour. So it wasn't a singular moment. It was just like when it came time to record an album, I had all these songs that I had written and I wanted to get them out there.
And so, with that being said, is there a specific lyric that really encapsulates this, one of your favorite moments from the trip?
Honestly, the line that the title came out of kind of is that's why it's the title. So like it's onwards and upwards. This path leads to nowhere. Nowhere sounds lovely. I'd sure like to go there.
Onwards and upwards, well, this path leads to nowhere. Nowhere sounds lovely, well, I'd sure like to go there.
And I feel like that song in general, the traveling blues, obviously it's in the title. It was my first time traveling like that and living out of my car and feeling the freedom of the road and the kindness of a lot of strangers and stuff like that. So yeah, it was sort of, after enough time doing that, even just the first couple of months, it really did start to feel like, not in a negative way that the road leads to nowhere, that it could be anywhere is more what it means. And I would still be learning and loving the experience. So that's kind of how I look at that line and why I chose the title.
And so, is there any, or I should say, what do you hope that when your listeners hear it, what do you want that, what do you want it, cannot talk, what do you hope resonates most with your listeners?
Um, I'm not sure, because the message isn't thematic necessarily. I feel like it's more of a retrospect of one of my experiences, but I do feel like what I want the experience to be like for a listener is sort of this little window into a very special time in my life, both musically and personally. And then also the added sort of unique time when I recorded the record right off the road in Nashville for the first time, having just gotten hip to country and bluegrass and all these other styles. And there's little pieces of that on the record. So I think it just kind of is a snapshot of a solid almost year of my life, and the development as an artist that, and a person, but mostly as an artist. That's kind of what I want people to hear. And obviously they're going to hopefully connect with the different songs in their each in their own way.
Wow, it just, when I was listening to it, I could tell it just, you put all your heart and soul into it, and it just, each song is just so seamlessly blends between all the genres that you're talking about. So with that being said, because you have rock, blues rock,
Totally.
folk, Americana, bluegrass, so was there a cohesive element that when you were writing it that you really wanted to like grasp onto and hone into?
You know, um, I think that's partly the job of the producer, and that's why like I chose a great producer like Cactus, because I knew that I had kind of made peace with the fragmented nature of my musical taste. Just like I like with the traveling, I was kind of coming to terms with my fragmented identity. Like I'm not really from a place, but I'm also from a lot of places at once. And I feel like it was a slightly similar thing that I started to accept that if I'm just going to be myself, then that's what my music is like. I like the banjo and I like the guitar and I write on both. And I thought to myself, the uniting factor is me, like people that enjoy my vocals and my writing style. It's just my music, whether it has a banjo on it or a guitar. So I tried to like forget about genres, and that's why Americana is a great umbrella term, because it just kind of hopefully will include a lot of the people that might like these kinds of textures and sounds. But yeah, I'm not to be self-centered, but I'm the uniting factor. Like that's, it's my voice and it's my music basically.
Wow, I absolutely love that idea of it. And just, like I said, you could tell when I was listening to it, I could tell that it was you, like without knowing you, I could see like this is what really influenced you and what really inspired you when growing up. And so with that being said, I know you mentioned when I got the press release that the album in itself is a reflection of who I am, not just of the old music that I've come to love, but looking at it from perspective just specific songs, were there any specific songs that you truly believe defines this idea of you?
Yeah. Well, I think the rock songs are my favorite and easiest example to point out of that, that the techniques I'm using on the guitar are very old time. They're finger style and slide guitar on a resonator, which kind of obviously references the 20s and the blues that I love. But it's a rock song. It's got drums and it's got distortion and it's got an electric bass on it, because I am a rock kid from the 90s. Like that's what I grew up listening to. So I always point to those as an example. And then same with Traveling Blues, the third single I put out. It's got a fingerstyle guitar part. That's how I originally wrote it, which is like Travis style picking, very traditional. But that chorus is sort of more of a indie, like even you could say pop rock chorus. It's just got four chords, and I think that's another example of something that goes like I took a part of something that I love, which is fingerstyle guitar playing, and then I put a band behind it and wrote a chorus that was more contemporary. And that's also why I've referenced Cactus so much when I answer this kind of question, is because he has done that on the records he produced for like Winona and the Big Noise, where there's references to Appalachian music or to like old time, because she's, from the South and it's in her blood. But obviously they know how to rock out and make some more modern sounding music. So that's why I chose him to do the record.
And so speaking of Cactus, just being a Grammy Award winning drummer and also a producer, what piece of advice, if any, did he offer you that stood out to you the most, that helped you in the recording process for this album?
Oh, that's a good question. I would have to think about that for a second, because it was 2 years ago. So there were a lot of good moments during that. But the ones that I remember are like the ones where I shot down his ideas, which is funny. So, I'm trying to think he had so many great ideas and great contributions, him and Rodney, the audio engineer. And I really am trying to think of some of them. I mean, the first being that I needed some direction with the arrangements. Like I knew that I wanted pedal steel, but I didn't know maybe where it would go best, except for the very obvious country sounding songs. And so, he was really, really helpful. And the musicians that played on my record are also the musicians he uses a lot for his projects and for touring with Winona. So I think that him having the wherewithal to choose people he's really comfortable with, that he can direct easily, that understand each other and me, it made the process so easy, and it just made it seamless. Like they were so cool. They listened to what I wanted and did it perfectly because they were excellent musicians. So I would say that was like the biggest thing.
And so going to your influences now, I know that you, like we said, you have so many genres that are just so inspiring and so influential to you. But do you have any influences that you really wanted to pay homage to for this album?
I guess I've been feeling nostalgic as get closer to 30, and I'm just realizing people think the 90s is like a vintage now or something. And I think that maybe not with this album, but just in general, the like awesome women from the 90s, like Alanis Morissette, the Cranberries, that has influenced how I sing, and that's my main vehicle, and so they were huge to me. But then for the record specifically, you know, I would say there's some references to like Mississippi John Hurt and some country blues picking on there. There's some rock style slide guitar, which reminds me a little bit of like the Allman Brothers and stuff like that. And then there is old time banjo. And to me, that was, you know, me like writing a song in that style, but also it reminds me of some Gillian Welsh stuff where she does like beautiful banjo clawhammer songs. And that's why I decided to do a few of those stripped down too. So there's a little bit, yeah, like you said, there's a little bit of everything on there, but I kind of just, it was fun. Like on one of the songs that I wrote, Satisfied Soul, it might not sound specifically like a 50s country song, but that was very strongly in my mind when I was writing it. I've been listening to a lot of Hank Williams, and that was kind of like, so each song actually, like, I'll save you the time of going through that. But if you were to ask me, I would have an answer for each song, because each song was kind of like, oh, like What Remains was supposed to be sort of a nod to JJ Cale. And that's why the track's very laid back and like everything's kind of just grooving, because it was my version of trying to like get a song that makes you feel something the way JJ Cale does. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff on there.
And so with that being said, what was your favorite song to record?
It's a good question. I would almost say Traveling Blues was really fun because we live tracked the guitar and the voice at the same time, which some of the other ones we didn't do. So it was just really fun to hear it come together, like in my cans, you know, and have the band in the other room playing along with me. I was in a separate room to get the vocals, so it was kind of a surreal experience, like to hear them on my headphones and be playing along while we recorded. It was pretty fun.
Microphone doesn't want to work.
I was like, wait, is my audio out? I hope that didn't happen.
Oh, no, you're fine. It was on my end. I'm like, is it going? Is it not going?
No worries.
But I can hear you now and you can hear me. But so Christina, when you were a child, I saw that you grew up in England, France, and Italy, and eventually you came to the United States. So at that point of time, why was the Western music so, it stood out into your mind to you, and why did you fall in love with it?
That is a good question, because you know what? I actually first heard slide guitar in England when I was back for the summer when I was in college. So it wasn't even like I went to the States and heard the blues somewhere live or anything. It was like I went to the States, nothing much changed in my musical taste. I went back to London, saw this guy playing steel lap slide guitar. Sam Green is his name. And I was just obsessed. Something about the pentatonic bluesy slide sound immediately just was like, oh my God, I want to learn how to do that. And then that kind of led to all of the blues stuff. And that started with Blind Willie Johnson and Skip James. And to be totally honest, I don't think there actually is an answer to your question, because that has been one of the things that fascinates me the most about Delta blues, is how someone like me from so far away could feel deeply connected to it when, you know, that's not my reality, but I just can't explain it. I love it. I love how it makes me feel. I love playing it. I love playing the slide, and all the other genres that have followed. It's a similar thing. It's like, that's what I think is so powerful, actually. And that's why I love this music, is because I'm like, wow, this girl who grew up on totally different music in a totally different part of the world, obviously many people feel that way, can feel so deeply moved by something that is from a very specific place and time. So that's why I find that this music is important.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I could just tell, like I said, with your album, and then now hearing what you had to say about that, you just have such a passion for that. And so I saw that Badlands was your first single off of your album. And you also got a music video for it, and it was just so beautifully well done. And I just loved all the different textures from kind of the Western side of it with the background, and then seeing like your outfit, it's a little bit more edgy from that. So with that music video, what was your artistic vision for it?
Well, I would have to credit Jason Hassel. I don't even know how to pronounce it, honestly, but he is an awesome cinematographer here in Nashville. And it was really just fun to work with him. On the other two, I worked with someone else, my friend, why am I blanking? Jeremy Harris. Sorry, I have a lot of names in my head today. And he's equally awesome. But Jason we kind of just talked about the Badlands and brainstormed a little bit. And he is was able to do a lot of stuff with like studio work, and obviously it was hard during COVID to make sure everything was safe. So it was like him, a camera, and me for some of the outside scenes, and then him and one assistant for the indoor studio stuff where we did green screen and you can see the Badlands and things like that. So it was kind of his artistic vision, to be honest. And that's why it's cool to work with people that are good at what they do, is because I'm like, I'm not a videographer. I have no idea. Like, I just knew I didn't want like a storyline video for any of them. That's not my style so much. But yeah, I was really happy with how all the videos came out. But that one was excellent. I love Jason's work.
Wow. And so after you have released Nowhere Sounds Lovely, what's next for you?
Well, I want to play a few more local shows. I had my first show with a band last week. Things are starting to look up here in Tennessee. I am fully vaccinated. A lot of my friends are getting there. The rollout has been pretty quick here. So I'm hoping that, at least locally, I'll be able to play shows now, because I didn't play during the pandemic, and that touring will soon follow, hopefully. So I have one show in Wyoming, and I hope I'll put a little tour together in August. But the real next step for me is to record my next album or EP, because I have a bunch of music that I would like to get recorded, and it's not been super safe to get into a studio. So I think now I can and really enjoy that process and just build another record, which would be super fun. So.
And before we close, is there anything else that you would like to say about Nowhere Sounds Lovely?
Just thanks. You caught me the day of, so I'm feeling super mushy and happy and just like really loved. I just feel the love from so many people, which I'll have to be honest, I have felt for a long time, especially with social media, which I know is a double-edged sword, and it's not great in some ways, but in other ways, I've had the constant support of so many strangers and people that are like, they just got my back and they like my music, and it still kind of astounds me to this day. So it's like really cool to put it out and see that people are actually buying the record and asking if I have vinyl, and they're excited and I'm excited. And, they also funded half of the record. So basically what I'm trying to say is I want to say a big thank you to all the fans. Like, those are right now the most important people to me on the scene, because they get me where I am today. So yeah, thank you, fans. Thank you, people who listen to music, and people like you who cover music and all that stuff. It's really important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, congratulations, especially talking to you today is release day, and I'm sure you're just buzzing with excitement and cannot wait for the reaction for it. So like I said, for me, listening to it, I just loved absolutely what you were able to create with. And it was just a good afternoon to listen to music too, and put on those headphones. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that way. And so, because you'll be coming out with some hopefully new music soon, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, well, you can just look up my name, Christina Vane, and it's always a matter of spelling it right. I have no H, Christina, and Vane is like a weather vane, Vane. And if you look that up on any social media platform, you can find me. My Bandcamp is where I sell merch. If people want to buy anything, they can go there. But yeah, just Google that name and then choose your platform. Basically, I try and keep up with all this stuff, even though I'm really bad at TikTok. So.
Thank you so much, Cristina. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you today and hearing everything that you had to say about Nowhere Sounds Lovely. So again, congratulations with all your success, and we can't wait to see what else you have to come out with next.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was really nice chatting with you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You have a good rest of your day now.
Right on. You too.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.